sending aid as the UN calls for more relief supplies for flood-hit Pakistan. China sends its third shipment of aid to the country. Solemn visit. UN Hong Kong's Chief Executive Donald Tsang pays a visit to 2 survivors from Monday's Manila hostage crisis. Holding hope, Chilean rescue workers released video footage of 33 miners trapped 300 meters underground. And controversial deportation. The United Nations rights body rebukes France for the deportation of Roma migrants. Hello and welcome to the update here on CCTV News, coming to you live from Beijing. I'm Li Xin and it's 11 a.m. here in the Chinese capital. In northern Pakistan, floodwaters are beginning to recede as the water flows downstream, but fresh floods still pose a threat to people living in the south of the country. Hundreds of thousands of Pakistanis fled floodwaters on Friday after the surging river Indus smashed through levees in the Sindh province. Authorities are working to repair the levee about 125 kilometers southeast of the major coastal city of Karachi. Meanwhile, another breach occurred in the Sorjani levee in the same region, submerging nearby towns. In the southern city of Tata, around 175,000 people were evacuated overnight. The UN said as many as 1 million people have been displaced in the south since midweek. More than 8 million people are in need of emergency assistance across the country. As Pakistan endures one of its worst flood seasons on record, a team of 55 Chinese experts arrived to help the flood-ravaged country. Our correspondent Daniel Han takes a look at the latest in the situation in the country and tells us how the relief work is proceeding.
As the second wave of floods passes through the Sindh province, more and more people are being evacuated, creating further difficulties in the relief efforts and hindrances in their assistance. The makeshift camps now seem to be falling short of space by the inflow of displaced people.
There are people coming in from all over the province. We are accommodating about 4 to 5 families in one classroom. We need more space. Women need special care. We have many pregnant women in this camp.
Among the 20 million flood-affected people, women and children remain the most vulnerable. Over 500,000 pregnant women have been reported among the affectees. Experts say these women need safety, security and assistance. Their privacy has been harmed. With the continuous need for assistance, the government of Pakistan and the United Nations are constantly asking for the international community to do more. In the light of the request, a 55-member Chinese rescue team arrived in Pakistan on Thursday, along with 25 tons of high-tech medical equipment and medicines. The Chinese team included 36 doctors and 19 experts and engineers equipped with medical supplies worth 8 million Chinese yuan.
To express goodwill and friendship of the Chinese government and people towards the Pakistani government and people, Chinese government has decided to provide to the Afghanistan government additional 60 million renminbi in humanitarian assistance, which including tents and food.
The rescue team will be conducting relief operations in the worst flood-hit areas in South Pakistan and help flood victims fight against waterborne and other diseases. High-level floods are washing away hundreds of villages every single day as the water makes its way towards the sea.
The month-long devastating floods, the worst in the history of Pakistan, have affected over 20 million people and have destroyed over 900,000 homes. But experts believe that international assistance and aid coming in from countries like China is going to bring out Pakistan from this devastation. Daniel Khan, CCTV, Islamabad.
Hong Kong SAR Chief Executive Donald Tsang has paid a visit to 2 survivors of the Manila bus hijacking. Tsang visited Mrs. Leong and her 18-year-old son Jason. Jason was the most seriously injured in the incident. Mrs. Leong's husband and 2 daughters were all killed during the hijacking, and Jason is still in intensive care after 5 hours of brain surgery. Doctors removed a part of his skull to ease pressure on his brain. His situation is expected to be stable in 10 days.
I just saw Mrs. Liang. She is calm. I hope she will take care of herself when she looks after her son. The Hong Kong government will do its best to look after other victims' relatives. We will arrange everything they need, physiologically and psychologically. If their relatives agree, the government will bury the 8 departed people in the graveyard where people died of heroic conducts or were murdered are buried. The Hong Kong and Philippine police are cooperating. We'll compare our evidence to theirs. We hope they will conclude a general and exact report.
Hong Kong law enforcement officials say forensic tests are underway on the bodies of the 8 victims who died during Monday's hostage crisis in the Philippines. A spokesman for the Hong Kong Justice Department says they will wait for the police report to decide if they need to launch an investigation into the 8 deaths. A forensic report on 5 of the victims and the gunman, released by the Philippine government on Thursday, says most of the victims were shot in the head once or twice. The bullets were apparently shot from larger firearms. Officials say about 60 of the bullet shells from the gunman's M16 were found. The crisis began when a former policeman turned gunman hijacked a bus carrying 21 sightseers from Hong Kong. The incident ended with 8 tourists killed and 7 wounded. Officials in the Philippines say a probe into Monday's hostage incident is now underway, and police officials say it will be the most thorough investigation in the country's history. Here's Meng Lingqi with more details.
Police authorities in the Philippines said on Thursday that foreign governments and law enforcement organizations will be invited to help investigate the hostage crisis. They add that their round-the-clock probe will be carried out in a manner similar to that of the 9/11 attacks in the U.S. The country's Justice Department and non-government bodies are also involved in the case. Police have been collecting evidence and conducting analysis, and the brother of the hostage taker has been arrested for obstructing justice. The island nation's law enforcement authorities say foreign police departments can check the site of the incident, investigate evidence, and cross-examine witnesses. They add that the whole process will be in line with international standards. Officials also denied that some of the hostages were mistakenly killed by the police. On the same day, President Benigno Aquino III admitted that there were some failures in the government's handling of the crisis, but fell short of accusing his officers of wrongdoing. He said the Philippines will create an elite strike force to handle future hostage-taking incidents and other serious situations. He also promised compensation for the victims and their families. NBC CCTV.
You're watching CCTV News, coming to you live from Beijing. Still ahead. Holding hope, Chilean rescue workers released video footage of 33 miners trapped 700 meters underground. And deportation criticized. A United Nations rights body rebukes France for the deportation of Roma migrants. The Pakistani government is vowing it will protect foreign aid workers against attacks from the Taliban. In recent days, the militant group has issued a veiled threat against relief organizations helping out in the country's flooding crisis. Andrew Dupuy has the story.
Hundreds of thousands of people have fled floodwaters after the surging River Indus smashed through levees. But many refused to leave the danger zone while others took shelter in an ancient graveyard for Muslim saints. The Pakistani Taliban has hinted they might attack foreign aid workers. The militant network has a history of attacking aid groups, including agencies under the UN umbrella. Pakistan's information minister promised to protect those who are helping in flood relief efforts.
The Taliban are basically threatening the whole nation, the whole world. And if this mess goes on, then this is in their benefit, this is in the benefit of all those who are against the interest and against the peace of Pakistan and the region and the world. So they will threaten the people, but their capacity and capability is now not that much. And whosoever the aid workers, health workers which will come here, federal agencies and the provincial agencies like police and others, we will provide them proper security.
The Taliban threat is likely to complicate the massive relief effort, while more than 8 million people are in need of emergency assistance across the country. The United Nations, the Pakistani Army, and a host of other local and international relief groups have been rushing aid workers, medicine, food, and water to the affected regions. Aid organizations have noted Pakistan has long been a high-risk environment for foreigners, and say Pakistan's security plans have taken such concerns into account. Andrew Dupuy, CCTV.
Chilean rescue workers have released a video showing footage taken inside the mine in which 33 miners remain trapped. Meanwhile, the main drill the rescuers will use to dig out the trapped miners has been taken to the excavation site. Su Xiaoxiao has the story.
On the police guard and surrounded by rescue workers, the heavy machine moved slowly towards the spot where drilling will take place. With the addition of the new drill, rescue workers are full of hope.
This is what's going to save the old guys.
On Thursday, rescue workers released a video showing life of 33 miners 700 meters down below the ground. Miners were playing cards and singing Chilean national anthem. Several miners sent messages to their families and to rescue workers above ground. The images relieve family members who have been camping out near the mine. Fresh clothes, medicine, and games are being sent down through a borehole to keep the miners in good spirits. A second narrow borehole is dedicated to channeling drinking water and keeping communication flowing. By early next week, a phone line will be set up so that miners can talk with their family members. By then, work should have begun on their escape tunnel. Experts estimated that rescue work might take 4 months. Su Xiaoxiao, CCTV.
And more help is on the way. A team of experts from NASA will travel to Chile early next week to advise the government on how to keep the trapped miners physically and mentally fit during the months ahead.
We're planning on traveling down early next week. We have a team of 4 individuals, including myself. And that team consists of 2 physicians, 1 psychologist, and 1 engineer. NASA's had a long experience in dealing with isolated environments, in particular currently on the space station. We train and plan contingencies for emergencies.
Former U.S. President Jimmy Carter has returned to the United States from the DPRK with an American citizen freed by Pyongyang. Andrew Dupuy has the story.
Carter and Ajelon Mali Gomez arrived in Boston, Massachusetts by the same jet. Gomez was detained by the DPRK on January 25th for illegal entry into the country. On April 6th, Gomez was sentenced to 8 years imprisonment and fined about $700,000 US. Carter arrived in Pyongyang 2 days ago to negotiate the release of Gomez. He held talks with the president of the Supreme People's Assembly, Kim Yong-nam. The U.S. State Department welcomed the release of Gomez. It said in a statement that it appreciates former President Carter's humanitarian effort and welcomes the DPRK's decision to grant Gomez special amnesty. Carter was the second former U.S. president who visited the DPRK in a year to discuss the release of U.S. detainees in the country. Bill Clinton last August visited the DPRK and secured the release of 2 American female journalists who had been detained for illegal entry. American media has noted that the DPRK's invitation to Carter this time and its release of the detainee may be interpreted as a sign of reconciliation. However, analysts say, as the situation on the Korean Peninsula has changed dramatically in recent years, Carter's visit may not have a deciding impact on the peninsular situation or on U.S. DPRK relations. Andrew Dupuy, CCTV.
American authorities have stepped up efforts to patrol a new front in the battle against illegal immigration along the Pacific Ocean and the coast of Southern California. James Kim has more.
With the light glittering along the shoreline, a patch of speedboats are busy patrolling in an effort to stop maritime smuggling. These speedboats are driven by U.S. Custom and Border Protection officials. Their mission is to patrol a 560 square kilometer expanse of water that stretches from Tijuana in Mexico to suburban Los Angeles. Over the past year, they've arrested more than 700 suspected illegal immigrants. But the sea is a vast terrain. It's impossible to cover the area properly.
We have, however, this coordinated approach. And if all you're relying on is just Border Patrol agents at water's edge or in the CBP boats at water's edge, it's going to be tough, and it's going to be looking for a needle in a haystack.